Welcome to Creative Space, where we create content to uplift and inspire the community and the culture. I am Tracy, and I have the lovely Marie Cloud of Indigo Pruitt Designs here today. And I am so excited for her to be here. We're going to do just a quick toast before we get started.
Yes.
Cheers just to the space, this beautiful space that she has totally designed out of town. I don't know how she did. She's a miracle worker. But just cheers to you and your business, and just continue to, grow and inspire others with all that you're doing. I'm so proud of you.
Right back at you. Thank you.
So we're just going to hop right into it. So if you don't know, Marie is our beautiful designer of this space. So if you're walking around and seeing from all of the colors to all of the portraits to all of our cool furniture and everything in here, it's just all Marie, beautiful designs. Indigo Pruitt Designs. Tell me how you got started, and just give me a short little synopsis.
Oh, short. That's going to be hard to keep short.
Okay, don't keep it short. Just tell me. Just run with the flow. Tell me how you got started in the interior design world. Yeah. Was it something that you always wanted to do, or what, sparked that journey for you?
Yeah, I think to start from the beginning, when I was younger, my mom would take us up the hill, up to Heights, Cleveland Heights to be exact, and drive around the neighborhoods and show us these beautiful homes and kind of expose us to life that we weren't really privy to. And even sometimes after church, we would go to model homes and just look at beautiful houses. So I think even back then, I didn't even know that she was kind of planting seeds into exposing me to just a different way of life. But also, it kind of sparked my interest in architecture and luxury design, and just structural and visual interests just became something that was really appealing to me during that time. And so when it was time to go off to college, I had no idea what I wanted to major in, and I knew it had to be something in the apparel or visuals or art department. So I jumped into architecture to begin with, and then I went to a career expo my sophomore year, met a designer at the expo, fell in love with her journey and the way that she spoke so passionately about interiors. I changed my major that next week.
Wow.
To design. And I mean, the rest just kind of flowed. But that was like my initial, I guess, spark into that world.
Wow. That's great. You really jumped on it. You knew okay, this is my calling.
Yeah. I feel like I knew, but it was the only thing that felt right. I wouldn't say I went in thinking, okay, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to, I didn't have it mapped out. I just knew it made sense, and it was a good spin-off of architecture. That was really what I really loved. I love structures. I love researching, the engineering behind certain structures and how things came together and fitted together in a residential space. And so interiors added a whole nother layer of color and patterns and prints, and so let's try it out, let's see what it do.
I can tell that you have an architecture background, because you came in here when it was completely nothing in here. It was just concrete and no walls or anything, and you're like, oh yeah, I got a vision. I'm like, you do? Because we don't. So that is just so cool that you are able to just look at the blueprint, see a design, just come up with it. How long did it take you to do that, or it's just something that was just a natural instinct?
Ooh, good question. I think I have a way of kind of scanning the space real quick and already envisioning the way I see it and the way I think it should appeal to folks. And then being able to connect with the people that's going to be within the space is a whole nother layer of challenge that I pair with my initial passion for the space. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's both and. It's me being able to apply the education and the knowledge, the passion, all of that, but then partnering with somebody that's as passionate about the space from a functional standpoint as I am from an aesthetic standpoint,
So what is your ideal client? So when you get a client, are you more so trying to go off of what they have a vision, or you're kind of like, oh no, I have a vision, we're about to roll with this, and your clients are just like, okay, it's about to be great, let me just go with the flow?
Yeah, typically, you know, clients are really open to my style. If they're coming and
they
submitting an inquiry, they kind of know. Yeah, they've seen something somewhere, whether it was on social media or publication or word of mouth. There's something that sparked their interest in the aesthetic that I've put out in the world. So that's a win. That means we know that what we're creating, what we're putting out in the world, people are catching on to, you know. But my goal at the end of the day is to create a space that's for my clients, you know. And so as flattering as it is when clients, you know, have appreciation for what they've seen and everything, I'm not going to come in there and replicate designs. I'm not going to come in there and put my stamp on every corner of your home. My goal is to get to know you. You know, what are the things that set your heart on fire? What does home feel like to you? What does that mean? And let's pull back some layers a little bit. Let me get to know you so that I can create a visually aesthetic space that feels like you and you didn't even know about it, you know?
Yeah, that is like so cool. You're like uncovering something that they wanted, but they didn't know they wanted.
Yeah, yeah. And the fact that you said like the uncovering piece is so key. I spend a lot of time with my clients before we touch a color palette, before we start talking styles and patterns and prints. We're gonna spend a lot of time together. I'm gonna get to know you. I'm gonna make you very uncomfortable. I'm gonna ask you questions you probably didn't expect me to ask. But it impacts your space. If we can get to a space of understanding that your surroundings genuinely impact you, and it changes your mood, your energy, your overall well-being, then I think people will have a better appreciation for their spaces and the mental health aspect of it.
Great. I love that piece, that component you were saying about, you know, partnering with the clients. Here at Creative Space, we're all about building, uplifting. Yeah. We're a community here. So can you speak a little bit to that aspect about having like a partnership or having a strong community when you're in this type of space? Do you feel a sense of community, or are you trying to build that?
Yes to all of that. No to the fact that I don't necessarily feel like there's a sense of community in the industry as much as I would want it to be. And so, you know, our parents and most elders have always taught us, you know, when you don't see something in your industry, you create it. And so that's something I'm really trying to foster. Within the interior design industry, there are like less than 2% Black women. And so those odds, you know, they're in the back of our minds when we show up to conferences or when we show up to an intimidating project. You know, what are the things that's in the back of those things that's in the back of our minds that we're showing up? It impacts us. It impacts us how, you know, it impacts how we show up in the space. So it's important for me to spend time with my peers, get to know what their goals are, what does support look like, how can we build each other up, what's working for you that's not working for me, that we can pour into each other. So that's something I'm really intentional about. How can we cultivate those relationships and build together, right? Like it's too much out here for us to be competing. And that 2%, bruh, like we gotta get that up. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, that's great. So you just scream confidence in everything you do. Like every time, you know, if I'm just like watching you on social media or I'm seeing you like in a space, I'm just like, wow, like you're just so inspiring, like how you just go about doing everything. What would you tell like a up and coming, you know, interior designer who, you know, haven't got their feet wet and, you know, isn't really confident in it yet? Does that come, or is that something that you just need like a spark right out the gate?
Well, first, thank you for saying that. Thank you, but also it's kind of a reality check of me being careful not to. I don't want the world to think I'm just like this uber confident person. I am confident, but even within that, like I'm doing it fearfully. Like I'm doing it scared because I have to do it, right? But yeah, so I guess that would be my advice. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, be scared. Do it scared. Like, life is so short. Not to get too deep, like within the last 7 months, I've had 3 family losses, and within the last 7 months, I have had my biggest career breaks, and we've just had just an overflow of blessings in the midst of heartache.
Right.
And I think a lot of that outflow comes from this mindset of feeling like I have to get it, right? Like I have to create something new for my family. Those losses were tragic, and they were based on just environmental circumstances, and so it pushes me to want to create a new map for my kids, a new perspective of wealth and inspiration for my family. So it's not necessarily always confidence. It's I feel like I don't have any other choice, right? And the alternative is me working a 9 to 5, making somebody else rich, and taking me away from my kids, and me not being able to control my time and my energy. And that's I'm not with that anymore. You know, so.
Yeah. Wow, really breaking barriers and paving that path that is very inspirational for, like, you know, up and coming, you know, that is just, wow. I just want to say I'm so proud of you. This is my sister-in-law, y'all.
Yes,
I am so proud of her. Tell me a little bit about the things that you're doing. I know you've just been publishing all these different magazines. What's some design projects and something you're doing right now that you're excited about?
Yeah, so we just finished up 2 big show houses, which is, show houses are kind of like a a thing you want to check off your list as a designer. And not to say it in a boasty way, but let me pop off real quick. It's typically something that you get to as a seasoned designer, and it's rare that a Black woman enter these spaces. And so we just did 2. Typically, you get 1 out of your career. I actually just walked away from another one later this year. And so I share that because I had to say no to a lot of things in order for those things to happen. I had to step away from some projects that I knew that weren't in alignment for, like, where I was going, and I knew was going to take me away from these heavy hitter projects, these show houses. And so getting the opportunity to be able to do those was a blessing, but the outflow of that, not just the connections and the partnerships, but what it's done for my confidence and the integrity of my brand is just, it's incredible. Like, it feels good to know, like, dang, I checked that off my list. Not necessarily that I did it, but I did it well in a space where, you know, I looked to the room to the right and to the left and nobody looked like me, you know? And so that has been by far one of the best feelings thus far. Like, in this whole journey that the Lord has me on, like, I'm still sitting in it. We're literally like 3 weeks from the previous one. So I'm still on a high from that, but we're heading into getting back to client work. So we have a Victorian renovation, 1820 Victorian in Virginia that we're renovating, like completely gutting and putting an elevator in, and very excited about that. Huge home. We have a commercial space, Wake Forest University. We're designing their multicultural, intercultural center. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm excited about that because there's just beautiful alignment around, you know, diversity and inclusion, and being able to create a space that celebrates all of that, you know, at a university level. So that's pretty cool. And then we have some amazing clients in Charlotte that, you know, we're working with to wrap up their homes and some spaces that's meaningful for them, and the hope is that those are wrapped up before the holiday season. Then the end of the year, I'm just looking to spend time with my family. I've closed my books for the year because I want to make sure I'm intentional about my boundaries and my time later on this year. So hopefully 2024 is going to be, you know, just as good as this year. But I'm kind of sitting right now mentally in what we just experienced, and I'm trying to get back to client work. So yeah.
Wow, just like that's great that you're able to just like, sit and, have those boundaries. Tell me a little bit about, saying your no's to get to your yes. Like, I really like that component you were saying, like, everything is not for you. How are you able to distinguish that and have, like, the discernment to do that?
Ooh, that's loaded. I think I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly. I told myself at the beginning of this year, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
I know.
You know, like,
okay, I like that.
This is the year that, like, if it's not a, oh my God, I absolutely have to do this, then I don't need to be doing it right now in this space, right? So I've been sticking to that. But as far as boundaries, I don't know. That does kind of just come natural to me. Like, my no is my no, my yes is my yes, and you either with it or you not, and that's cool either way. And then as far as projects, I've come to learn that every project is not for me. Every client is not for me. And the more that I'm intentional about what brings me peace and joy, and if it's not in alignment and in stride with where I'm going with that, then it's an easy no. And let me point you in a different direction. And that's when that community comes into place. But I think the determining factor for me is if it's going to disrupt my peace and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I got 2 kids at home. I got a husband. Like, y'all can't come before that. So, yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. But before we wrap it up, because we was getting a little deep, but that was great.
All right.
Before we
wrap it up, like non-surface. Like, I like to.
I know. Dive deep right in. That's perfect. Before we wrap it up, can you just tell them where to find you?
Yes.
If you're trying to book an interior designer, she is in the Charlotte area, but she can come up here. I'm telling you, I think you only saw this space like once.
Yeah.
She literally saw this space once and did everything, via email, Zoom calls. Like, I don't know how she did it, but it turned out great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Indigo Pruitt. It's my handle. My website is www.indigopruitt.com, of course. If you're interested in any design services, please fill out an inquiry form. We have 2 paths: full service design, which is everything from conception to like white glove installation. We're styling everything, which is the typical path. But we also have a new service called Home Coach, which is essentially me just having a conversation with you about your home and what your struggles are. That's a 30-minute call where we, just kind of talk through what your roadblocks are within your home. So if you live afar, that may be a service for you. You just pay the 30-minute window. And if you want to, add that up, we do that up until 2 hours. And then you move into full service. So, yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Until next time, Creative Space community. Bye.